Space is mostly silence. We point instruments at it, we wait, and almost always the universe gives us exactly what physics said it would. Almost always. Sometimes something comes back that does not fit. A signal that lasted 72 seconds and never repeated. A star that dimmed in a way no star should. An object that flew through our solar system and left without explaining itself. Some of those were solved. Some are still open, and at least one was never real to begin with. Every entry here gets a verdict: solved, unsolved, or fake, and I will tell you which every time. No pretending a debunked story is still a mystery, because the ones that are genuinely unexplained do not need any help. Counting down from 10. Number 10. We start with the most famous alien object that never existed. The story says there is a satellite in polar orbit around Earth. Not ours, not anyone's. Roughly 13,000 years old, watching us, and photographed by NASA astronauts who were told to keep quiet. The photographs are real. They were taken in December 1998 during a shuttle mission to build the International Space Station, and the object in them is a thermal blanket, insulation that came loose during a spacewalk and drifted away. NASA cataloged it, tracked it, and it burned up in the atmosphere. The rest of the legend is a pile of unrelated things stacked into a shape. Radio signals Tesla recorded in the 1890s. Strange radio echoes noticed in the 1920s. A newspaper story from the 50s. None of them are connected. Someone connected them anyway. The Black Knight is not a cover-up. It is a lost piece of insulation with 60 years of unrelated stories glued to it. Verdict: fake. Number 9 is the one that launched 1,000 theories. On July 25th, 1976, the Viking 1 orbiter photographed a region of Mars called Cydonia. In one frame, a 2-kilometer wide hill stared back. 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, a human face carved into another planet. It was on book covers. It was in films. For 20 years, it was the single best piece of evidence that someone had been there before us. Then we went back with better cameras. Mars Global Surveyor photographed Cydonia at dramatically higher resolution, and later Mars Express did it again, in color and in 3D. The face dissolved into what it always was: an ordinary eroded mesa, lit from a low angle, photographed at a resolution too coarse to show anything else. Your brain is extremely good at finding faces. That is the whole mystery. It found one on a hill 60 million miles away. Verdict: solved. Number 8 is a genuine scientific puzzle that took 30 years to close. Pioneer 10 and Pioneer 11 left Earth in the early 1970s and headed out of the solar system. We tracked them by radio for decades, and they were in the wrong place. Not by much. They were drifting very slightly back toward the sun, an extra acceleration so tiny it would take you centuries to notice by eye. But it was consistent, it was measurable, and nothing in our physics predicted it. For 3 decades, this was taken seriously. Some suggested our theory of gravity needed modifying. Some suggested dark matter. Every explanation had to survive the fact that 2 separate spacecraft, launched years apart, were doing the same strange thing. The answer turned out to be heat. Both spacecraft carried nuclear power sources, and that heat radiated away unevenly, slightly more in one direction than the other. Light carries momentum. Radiating heat off one side of a spacecraft gives it the gentlest possible push. The pioneers were being nudged by their own warmth. Verdict: solved. Number 7 had astronomers genuinely saying the word megastructure out loud. In 2015, volunteers working through Kepler telescope data flagged a star behaving impossibly. Most stars with planets dim by a fraction of a percent when a planet crosses in front. This one dropped by up to 22%, and it did it irregularly. No pattern, no schedule, nothing you could predict. No planet can block that much light. Nothing natural we knew of fit. So one hypothesis, published seriously, was that we might be looking at something built. A structure large enough to shadow a star. The kind of thing a civilization far beyond us might construct to harvest energy. For a while, that possibility hung there. Then astronomers watched it dim in different colors of light. A solid object blocks all colors equally. This did not. Blue light dimmed more than red. That is the signature of dust, not metal. Fine dust in an uneven cloud, orbiting the star. We did not find a megastructure. We found something more ordinary, and honestly, still not fully explained in its details. Verdict: mostly solved. Number 6 flew through our solar system, and we are still arguing about it. In October 2017, a telescope in Hawaii spotted an object moving too fast to be bound to our sun. It had come from interstellar space, past the sun, and was already leaving. The first confirmed visitor from another star system. We got weeks to look at it. In that time, it did several things that did not fit. Its brightness varied enormously as it tumbled, which means it was extremely elongated, far more stretched than any asteroid we know. It showed no visible tail, so it did not look like a comet. And yet as it left, it accelerated slightly, in a way gravity alone does not explain. Comets accelerate like that because they vent gas, but we saw no gas. One prominent astronomer argued the simplest explanation for a thin, flat object pushed by sunlight was that it was artificial. Most of the field disagrees and points to exotic ices that vent invisibly. The honest position is that a natural explanation is very likely, and that we did not get long enough to prove which one. Verdict: disputed. Number 5 is a mystery that got partly answered while we were watching. Fast radio bursts are exactly what they sound like. A burst of radio energy lasting a few thousandths of a second, arriving from far outside our galaxy, carrying an amount of energy that is difficult to write down sensibly. The first was found in old data in 2007. For years, nobody could say what produced them. Then, in April, 2021 went off inside our own galaxy, and we could see the source. It was a magnetar, the collapsed core of a dead star, with a magnetic field so violent it distorts the structure of atoms. That was a real answer. Magnetars can produce fast radio bursts. But it did not close the case. Some bursts repeat on a schedule. Some fire once and never again. Some come from galaxies where the expected sources should not exist. One source has a pattern that nobody has explained. We found out what makes some of them. Not all of them. Verdict, partly solved. Number 4 is a planet we have never seen. Out beyond Neptune, there are small icy worlds on enormous orbits. In 2016, astronomers noticed something odd about the most distant ones. Their orbits appear to cluster. They lean the same way. They point the same direction, as if something massive is hurting them. The proposal was a ninth planet, several times the mass of Earth, orbiting so far out that a single year there would take thousands of hours, far enough to be almost invisible. Telescopes have been hunting it ever since. Nothing. And there is a serious counter-argument. We may only be seeing clustering, because those are the objects easiest to spot. Look where your telescope points. Find things where you looked. A new generation of surveys should settle it within a few years. Either we are about to add a planet to the solar system, or we are about to lose one we never had. Verdict, unconfirmed. Number 3 is a bruise on the oldest light in the universe. Everywhere you point a sensitive enough telescope, you find a faint glow left over from shortly after the Big Bang. It is almost perfectly even, the same temperature in every direction, to within tiny fractions of a degree. Almost. There is a region that is colder than it should be, and larger than the models comfortably allow. It is not impossible by chance. It is just unlikely enough that people keep looking at it. The leading explanation is a supervoid, an enormous, unusually empty region of space between us and that patch, draining energy from the light passing through. Surveys have found a void roughly in the right place. Whether it is big enough to account for the whole thing is still argued. And there is a stranger idea, taken less seriously, but not dismissed, that it is a mark left by a collision with another universe. Verdict, unsolved. Number 2 is the fact that we are falling, and for a long time we could not see toward what. Our galaxy is not sitting still. The Milky Way, along with thousands of other galaxies, is moving at roughly 600 kilometers every second toward one region of the sky. Something over there is pulling. The problem is where it is. That direction lies directly behind the plane of our own galaxy, through the thickest dust and the densest star fields, a region astronomers call the zone of avoidance, because you effectively cannot see through it. We were being pulled by something our own galaxy was blocking from view. Over decades, X-ray and infrared telescopes found ways to see partly through. We now know a great deal more. The pull comes from a huge concentration of mass, and much of it is attributed to an even larger structure further out. Our whole neighborhood turns out to be part of a supercluster stretching further than we realized. We can see the shape of the answer now. We still cannot see all of it. Verdict, partly explained. And at number 1, 72 seconds in 1977 that have never been repeated and never been explained. On the night of August 15th, a radio telescope in Ohio called the Big Ear was scanning the sky as part of a search for extraterrestrial intelligence. It recorded onto paper printouts, which a volunteer named Jerry Eman reviewed by hand a few days later. He found a sequence far stronger than the background noise around it, 30 times stronger. He circled it in red pen and wrote a single word beside it: wow. 2 things make this hard to dismiss. First, the duration. 72 seconds is exactly how long a fixed point in the sky would stay in that telescope's beam as the Earth turned. The signal behaved precisely as something out there, not something here, should behave. Second, the frequency. It arrived almost exactly at the frequency hydrogen naturally emits. Hydrogen is the most common element in the universe. Anyone trying to be heard across interstellar distances might reasonably choose it. It is the one frequency everybody in the galaxy already knows about. The big ear looked again. Other telescopes looked. Astronomers have gone back to that patch of sky for nearly 50 years. It has never come back. Verdict: still unexplained. 10 mysteries. 3 of them solved. Several of them narrowed. One of them never real. And one that is still sitting exactly where it was in 1977. That pattern is worth noticing. Most of these did not stay mysterious because the universe is unknowable. They stayed mysterious until someone built a better instrument, or looked again in a different color of light, or worked out that a spacecraft was being pushed by its own heat. The unsolved ones are not proof of anything. They are just the ones we have not reached yet. Which of these do you think gets solved first? Tell me below. And if you want to know which of these I think is genuinely alien, I will only say that it is not the one people usually pick.